As a botanical artist, my work often demands precision, but with precision can come restriction and its lack of creativity. But lately I've been exploring sketching in a different way. Now, not the traditional kind, but more of a space to be creative without the fear of making mistakes. Instead of working with a pencil, I've been reaching for an ink pen, or in this case a fine liner. Now, it may sound counterintuitive, but using ink actually makes the process less intimidating. It feels special and intentional. By committing to ink from the start, I give myself permission not just to make mistakes, but to embrace them. I'm not correcting or erasing, instead I'm working with them, and that brings a surprising sense of freedom. So today I'm going to be painting this beautiful pear in a couple of positions using my pen, as you can see here. So if you want to join in with me, grab your fine liner pen or your pencil if you feel a little more comfortable with that, and just start drawing your shapes. Now, we're not talking about realistic paintings here, we're just talking about being creative. I'm holding the pear in my hand so that I can see all the gnarly little angles and just using my fine liner pen. I know it's not accurate and I know it's a bit wonky, but that's absolutely fine. With your initial shape in place, and if you're happy with it, you can start to use your favourite paints to put your colours down. And again, we're about painting loose and being creative, not about colour accuracy. So with your drawing done, all you need to do is grab your favourite paints. Now, you can be as creative as you want to be with these type of doodles. You can make them pink, you can make them purple. They don't have to be even close to the colour of the subject that you're painting. For me, painting this way and drawing this way, it takes off so much pressure. So I'm starting off by using a lovely green colour, one of my favourites in my set. In case you're interested, this colour is called Green Woodpecker. All the paints I'm using are from Deep Light because I really love them. I recommend that you choose your favourite colours and your favourite brand and your favourite paints to enhance the creativity. To me, it has a green kind of yellowy tone, and this is what I'm aiming to have here. Because the colour is granulating and it separates on the paper, it just makes this a little bit more magical and a little bit more gnarly. So I'm working with what the paper is doing to help me create this really unique little painting. So looking at the shape of the pear, you can see it's got a lot of indentations and kind of gnarly bits. So I'm using a darker colour here to create some of those indents to make the pear look a little bit more kind of three-dimensional and less flat. At this point, the paint on the paper is still wet, so I'm dropping in this pigment Wet n Wet to give it a lovely blurred look. As I said, these little sketches are all about having fun and not being photorealistic or being scared to get it wrong. In fact, I was purposely using the wrong colour here just to kind of expand on my creativity a little bit. As mentioned at the start of this video, being a botanical artist means I have to be as accurate as possible with my paintings. So painting in this way gives me a lot more freedom. It also means that I don't have to worry about matching my colours and colour accuracy as well. Experimenting, finding out how these colours react to my watercolour paper is also a good exercise. If you're familiar with my YouTube channel, you'll know that every week I provide you with a free outline and often a reference photograph so that you can paint along with me, as well as colour references. But today we're all about just forgetting about all of that and just being creative and seeing what happens. Even if I had drawn this pear in a shape I wasn't happy with, I still would have continued with my painting because it just means that I'm being creative with what I have done, almost willing myself to make a mistake. Again, I'm just taking a colour down the bark here and I'm going to let that dry. As these colours dry down, they will appear to be a lot paler, so I will have to go over it later with another layer. But remember, this is all about being creative. I almost toyed with the idea of adding a purpley tone at this point. I was happy with the dry down, so I decided to continue as it was. Happy with the shape that I've done, I've decided to paint another pear on this side of my watercolour paper. The watercolour paper that I'm using, by the way, is 100% cotton, and it's a hand-pressed, kind of handmade watercolour paper. Now, if you haven't used these papers before, they are very absorbent and they do not take the eraser well. So be mindful if you are using a pencil on this type of paper that you are going to have a little bit of difficulty rubbing out that pencil line if you make a mistake. This is why I encourage you to start drawing your work with a fine liner pen. This is a 0.5 pen, so it's fairly fine, which I really like. And again, I'm just roughly outlining this pear. I don't want it to be accurate. It's really important that you just let the pen flow on the paper and don't be afraid to get it wrong. This is the point of painting like this and drawing in this manner. Even if I had done a double edge or a sketchy edge or whatever it is that I don't normally do, that is absolutely fine. If the shape looks wrong, that is fine. This is what it's all about. Whatever shape that you're left with on the paper, that is the shape that you're going to paint. And I promise you, you will really love this way of painting. Now that I'm happy with that outline, I can start to put my base layer in again. I'm using just 5 colours today, and I will list all the materials that I'm using underneath this video in the description box as usual. Now, if you really like painting watercolours and you do prefer traditional methods by painting botanicals, then you may want to check out my Patreon. You can head over to Patreon and grab our free outlines that accompany all our tutorials. We have a free section where we have all our outlines and our reference photographs where applicable, and you can grab those for free, my gift to you. But if you really want to create some botanical paintings that you can be proud of, that you won't find here on YouTube, let's just take a little look to see what you get. If you enjoy my watercolour tutorials here on YouTube, then you're going to love what's waiting for you over on my Patreon. By joining, you'll unlock exclusive content that you won't find anywhere else, packed with tips, techniques and inspiration to help you become a more confident artist. I've created 3 membership tiers so that you can choose the one that fits you best, our clematis being the most popular, offering all my monthly watercolour tutorials, no matter what level you're at. But if you're serious about improving your painting, our rose tier is perfect for you, because this mentorship level gives you one-on-one video calls with me where we can chat about your progress and troubleshoot any challenges to explore new ways to elevate your art. Finding content on Patreon is super easy now. The collections tab keeps everything organised by theme or subject, and the handy search bar makes it easy to find exactly what you're looking for. So if you're ready to unlock your creative potential, build your skills and connect with a supportive community, join me on Patreon today. You can join and leave Patreon at any time, and remember we have that Rose mentorship level where you can have some one-on-one time with me. And do take advantage of the annual membership where you can get an extra 10% off, and we all like to save a little bit of money, so do check that out. I'll link it underneath in the description as well as on my homepage. Again, I put my base layer down. It's kind of as near to the pear as possible. I wanted to keep that base layer fairly neutral, but I'm dropping in another colour here. The darker colour that you see me using is called Mother Earth, and it's a kind of dark bluey green tone that's fairly neutral. If you wanted to use the same colours as me and you don't have these, you could start off by painting a really watered down sap green and maybe add a Payne's grey or indigo at this point if you wanted to use the same colours, but I urge you to be creative. Imagine these painted in, say, like a yellow colour with a little bit of orange and pink, for example, with even a little bit of purple. That would be really fun to do, and this is what this is all about, being creative. I suddenly decided sketching this way when I started to do a little bit of work on another channel that I'm working with, and I found it really inspiring. I found that I was being more creative in my thought process when I'm painting, and I decided to use this within my own work, which is what you see me doing today. I'm absolutely loving painting like this because you don't have to think about getting it right. You can just be yourself by adding paint to paper. For this week's tutorial, I won't be providing you with free outlines and reference photographs because there aren't any, but I still urge you to go and have a look over on Patreon, and if you want to join in with our other tutorials here on my channel, then go ahead and grab them for free. Like I said, I will link it in the description box and you can go over there, join up. We'd love to see you over on our Patreon, and if you did want to join our paid membership level, it is a way that you can support my channel. I'll run through the colours that I've chosen in case you're interested. They are green woodpecker, prickly pear, captain's grey, Mother Earth and dark umber. Just mixing up a darker value here, and I'm going to mix this colour up and just drop it in the pears to create a little bit of texture and have some fun with dropping in that colour wet in wet. This paper that I'm using is very absorbent, so by adding in this pigment while that paper is still wet, it just gives it that soft blurry look that I love, as you can see here. Now everything's dry, so we can start to think about adding a little bit of something underneath these pears, because at the moment they're just floating in space and I needed to ground them on a surface of some sort. So again, I'm just adding a little bit of water to my pigments here, and I'm mixing up a darker colour. In this instance, I'm mixing Captain's Grey. You can see that colour there on my palette, and just adding water to the base of the pears. This is a super granulating tone from deep light, and by adding plenty of water and mixing it up, as you can see here, notice how those colours separate to give that beautiful dual granulation. This means that when I apply it onto my watercolour paper, it becomes lovely and soft and blurred. Speaking of blurred, I can see that I am a little bit out of focus for this shot, but bear with me, I promise you it'll be back to normal before we know it, and hopefully you can still see what I'm doing. So just giving that a little mix and just dropping it in where I've applied that water. Just up to the pear and just let it blur really naturally into the wet watercolour paper. Just giving it a mix, and you'll see once this starts to dry down, that granulation and for that paint to come to life. Again, you don't even have to use this kind of colour for your shadow tone. A purple would work really well here, and like I said, if you want to be really experimental, you can go ahead and use any colour you like. You could make it as fun as you wanted to, and that is the whole point of painting this way. As I said at the start of this video, painting with precision can often come with restrictions, and this is why I'm really enjoying this process. So I'm just going to continue in this way, adding my paints and just blending them into the paper using water. I'm going to stop talking now and let you watch the rest of this in peace by listening to some relaxing music until the painting is finished. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you've enjoyed watching me paint and doodle today. So thank you so much for watching. My name is Ray Campbell. This is my studio, and I hope to see you soon.